The stars had never felt so quiet. From the observation deck of the orbital command station above Earth, Lieutenant Mara Kellen stared into the black expanse, her heart heavy with the weight of what was coming. Millions of humans lived below her, unaware of the immense threat approaching the solar system. Above them, the alien armada loomed like a shadow over the stars, silent, imposing, and precise. Mara's fingers traced the edge of the console in front of her. All around, the crew of the station worked in tense, focused silence. Data streams scrolled across screens, positions of alien vessels, predicted paths, and communication attempts. Yet despite the sophistication of their technology, humanity felt vulnerable. The aliens had never attacked anyone openly. Their method was unknown, their motives unclear, and the sheer scale of their fleet left little room for optimism. "Lieutenant Kellen," a voice called, breaking her reverie. It was Commander Rivas, steady and calm, but she could hear the tension hiding behind his measured tone. "The fleet is maintaining formation. They're holding position, waiting. Any word from Earth?" Mara shook her head. "Nothing beyond routine transmissions. They're preparing for contingency, but we won't have enough firepower to stop them if they advance." Her voice was firm, but even she felt a tremor of uncertainty. At that moment, a scientist in the lab section, Dr. Elon Soren, approached. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes held the spark of brilliance and worry at once. "I've been analyzing their signals," he said, gesturing toward a complex holographic display. "There's something unusual. It's not direct communication. It's more like patterns, repetitions in ways we haven't seen before." Mara leaned closer to the hologram. "Patterns? What kind of patterns?" Dr. Soren's fingers danced across the controls, and a series of lights and frequencies appeared in the air. "It's almost as if they're trying to study us. They don't fully understand humans yet. I think they're curious, cautious even." Commander Rivas frowned. "Curious or calculating? There's no room for error. If they discover our weakness, we're done." Mara felt a spark of determination ignite inside her. The tension in the room was thick, but she knew that fear alone could not define humanity. Humans had faced impossible odds before and had found ways to overcome them, not just with strength but with creativity, courage, and spirit. "We can use this," Mara said firmly. "If they don't fully understand us, we can show them who we are, not with weapons but with ingenuity. With our mind and our voice." Dr. Soren nodded slowly. "You may be right. If we can craft a message that shows them what humanity truly is, it might change their approach." Commander Rivas exhaled, a long, controlled breath. "Very well. We prepare for that, but time is short. We need a plan, and we need it now." As the team moved to action, Mara allowed herself a quiet moment to glance at the view outside the station. The Earth hung like a blue jewel, fragile yet resolute, spinning in silence. This was her home. This was what she was defending. Not just territory, but the values, the stories, the lives that made humanity unique. The alien fleet did not move for hours. It was a ghostly presence, a cloud of metal and lights that filled the vastness beyond the command station. No signals of aggression, no immediate attacks, just observation. This silence was almost worse than any battle. It was a test of patience, courage, and wit. In the lab, Dr. Soren worked tirelessly. His team developed a concept for a new kind of communication, one that did not rely on words alone or even technology as humans knew it. They called it the thought signal, a way to transmit human creativity, logic, and emotion encoded in a way that could be received by alien systems. Mara watched the scientists admiring their focus. "Do you really think this will work?" she asked quietly. Dr. Soren smiled, a hint of the old mischievous scientist in him. "It might. It's risky, but everything about this situation is risky. The key is to show them that humans are unpredictable, that we cannot be reduced to simple equations or tactics. Our strength lies in our imagination, our courage, and our will to survive." Meanwhile, the pilot, Lieutenant Jaron Voss, prepared the orbital shuttles. Every move was precise, every maneuver carefully calculated. The mission required someone to deliver the transmitter device to the orbital array at the edge of the solar system, close enough to broadcast the human signal, but far enough to avoid the main alien fleet. It was dangerous but necessary. As the crew prepared, a soft alert echoed across the station. The alien fleet had shifted slightly. Not an attack, but a movement. Small, deliberate, almost thoughtful. The crew's eyes followed the patterns with growing understanding. These beings were intelligent, capable of observation and analysis. But intelligence, Mara realized, could also be reasoned with. She gathered her team. This is our moment. Not to fight, not to hide, but to show them who we are. Our minds, our ideas, our spirit, that is what they do not understand. And that is our advantage, Commander Rivas nodded. Then let us be the voice of humanity. Let them hear us, even if they don't yet understand our words. The hours that followed were a blur of preparation. Data streams, calculations, simulations, and tests filled every corner of the station. Crew members worked without rest, driven by the urgency of the moment and the hope that human ingenuity could meet the challenge. Outside, the alien fleet remained a silent cloud. Occasionally, a probe would approach only to retreat, almost as if they were curious but cautious. Humanity's presence, their resilience, and their creativity had sparked interest, but the aliens had yet to act decisively. Mara took a quiet moment to reflect. Humanity had always been underestimated, often by circumstance, sometimes by choice. But humans had a habit of rising beyond expectation. They built civilizations on barren lands, explored oceans and skies, and even reached beyond their own world. And now, staring at the unknown, they would do so again. Dr. Soren approached her, holding a small, intricate device, the thought signal transmitter. This is it, he said softly. If we can activate this, the aliens will receive a message they cannot ignore. Not words of fear, not words of surrender, but a message of who we truly are. Mara's gaze shifted to the earth below, to the countless lives that relied on their courage and ingenuity. Then we do this for them, for everyone, for the future of humanity. As night fell over the earth, the orbital command station hummed with quiet activity. Every hand, every mind, and every heart worked together. Outside, the alien fleet watched and waited, unaware that humanity was preparing a message that would define the species for generations to come. The stars were still silent, but within that silence, a plan was forming, one that would challenge assumptions, ignite curiosity, and prove that humans could never be underestimated. And so humanity prepared its voice. Not in fear, not in surrender, but in courage, creativity, and defiance, the kind that could echo across the stars. Above all, Mara Kellen felt a spark of hope. Humanity was not alone in its determination. Every mind, every heart, every spark of ingenuity on that station and beyond was a testament to a species that refused to bow. The final broadcast was coming, but it would not be a surrender. It would be a declaration. Humanity had arrived, and it would be heard. Outside, the alien fleet remained, silent and observing. They did not yet know what they were about to face. But soon the stars themselves would carry a message unlike any they had ever encountered. A message that would change the way they saw humanity forever. And in that moment, amid the quiet hum of technology and the distant twinkle of stars, the first true act of defiance began, not with weapons, but with courage, with intelligence, and with the enduring spirit of humanity. The orbital command station buzzed with activity as the crew prepared for the boldest mission in human history. Every light blinked with purpose, every console displayed lines of data flowing like rivers of calculation. Humanity had always relied on its ingenuity, and now, that ingenuity would be sent across the stars, not as a weapon, but as a message of defiance. Lieutenant Mara Kellen moved through the command hub, her eyes scanning the teams as they finalized the preparations. The thought signal transmitter rested on a central platform, a small device compared to the vastness of the alien fleet, yet capable of delivering the most important message humanity had ever sent. It was fragile, yes, but brilliant. It held the essence of human creativity, problem-solving, and emotion encoded in waves of thought patterns that the aliens might perceive in ways they had never imagined. "Lieutenant," a voice called. It was Lieutenant Jaron Voss, the pilot assigned to deliver the transmitter to the orbital array at the edge of the solar system. He held a tablet filled with trajectory maps and hazard simulations. "I've run every possible path. Every approach. The alien fleet is still observing, but they're not aggressive yet. That could work in our favor, but we have to be precise. One mistake and..." His voice trailed off, leaving the implication hanging. Mara met his gaze, steady and resolute. One mistake could be dangerous, yes, but inaction is worse. We either act boldly or risk losing everything. Are you ready? Voss nodded, his fingers brushing the edge of the tablet. I was born ready for the impossible. Meanwhile, Dr. Elon Soren worked in the lab, his team adjusting the signal transmitter for maximum effect. The device needed to translate human ideas, our stories, our problem-solving skills, our art and music, into a form the aliens could perceive. It was a delicate process. The team had spent weeks modeling alien neural patterns, attempting to predict how the fleet's systems would interpret human creativity. It's not just a signal, Dr. Soren explained to Mara. It's humanity. If they can read it, if they can understand even a fraction, they'll see that humans are not predictable. That's our advantage. Our unpredictability is what makes us, well, us. Mara glanced at the device, feeling a mix of awe and responsibility. And if they don't understand it? Soren smiled faintly. Then we try again. Humans are persistent. We learn, we adapt, and sometimes the first attempt is enough to make a difference. As the preparations continued, the alien fleet remained a silent presence, massive and unyielding. Their ships floated in perfect formations, lights blinking in synchronized patterns as though the fleet itself was a single organism. Mara couldn't shake the sense that they were watching everything, calculating every movement, and yet they had not attacked. That hesitation, that curiosity was humanity's chance. The launch sequence began as Voss climbed into the shuttle. The interior was compact, filled with monitors and controls, but it was designed for efficiency. The thought signal transmitter was secured in a reinforced cradle in the cargo bay, its delicate circuits humming with latent potential. Shuttle ready for departure, Voss reported to Mara via communicator. Understood, she replied, her voice calm despite the storm of thoughts inside her. Remember, your goal is the orbital array at the edge of the solar system. Approach carefully, avoid detection if possible, and activate the transmitter once you're in range. Voss nodded, strapping himself into the pilot seat. Copy that. I'll be humanity's voice out there. The shuttle separated from the station, gliding through the vacuum with quiet precision. Outside, the alien fleet was visible, a distant galaxy of metallic forms against the blackness of space. Voss maneuvered through careful trajectories, following calculated paths to avoid the fleet's sensors. Every movement was deliberate, every adjustment critical. One misstep could lead to exposure, but so far the fleet remained stationary as if studying the shuttle's progress. Back at the command station, Mara and Dr. Soren monitored the shuttle's approach. Data flowed in real time, displaying potential hazards, energy fields, and gravitational influences. The tension in the control room was palpable. Every team member understood the stakes. This was not just a mission of survival. It was a mission to define humanity's place in the universe. Hours passed, the shuttle moving steadily toward the orbital array. Voss remained focused, eyes scanning instruments, hands steady on controls. Occasionally, he would glance at the device in the cargo bay, aware that it held more than circuits and codes. It held the essence of Earth itself. Finally, the shuttle approached the array. The massive structures of the orbital installation stretched across the void, a marvel of human engineering. Panels and antennas extended into space, ready to amplify the thought signal into a broadcast that could reach the alien fleet. Array in sight, Voss reported. Preparing for docking sequence, Mara watched the screen, her heart pounding. Every calculation, every maneuver, every second of waiting brought them closer to the moment when humanity would speak across the stars. The shuttle docked successfully. The transmitter moved into position, and Voss activated the device. A soft hum filled the cargo bay, almost musical, almost alive. Light patterns danced across the shuttle's interior as the transmitter converted human ideas into waves of signal energy, ready to reach the alien fleet. Signal active, Voss said, his voice steady. Transmission beginning. Back at the command station, the crew held their breath. The first waves of the thought signal traveled across millions of kilometers of space, invisible yet potent. It carried stories of human ingenuity, art, problem-solving, and determination. It carried the essence of a species that had overcome countless challenges, always adapting, always learning. Outside, the alien fleet received the signal. Lights on their ships flickered in rapid sequences, almost as if the fleet itself was interpreting what it had received. It was unlike anything the aliens had encountered. Patterns and rhythms that could not be reduced to simple equations streamed through their systems. Intelligence met unpredictability, and for the first time the alien fleet hesitated. Voss monitored the transmission, feeling a sense of accomplishment, tempered by anxiety. "They're reacting," he said. "Not hostile, but curious." Mara allowed herself a small smile. "Exactly as we hoped. They see us, but they don't yet understand. That's our strength." As the shuttle remained connected to the array, the thought signal continued to broadcast. The array amplified the transmission, sending it farther and wider, enveloping the solar system in a network of human ingenuity. Every calculation, every artistic expression, every small story of courage and compassion traveled outward, carried by light and energy, crossing the void between stars. At the command station, the crew analyzed the responses. Tiny movements in the alien formations suggested observation, not aggression. Data streams hinted at analysis, attempts to decode patterns that were intentionally layered with complexity. Humanity was unpredictable, and the aliens were struggling to categorize or anticipate it. Dr. Soren leaned over Mara's shoulder. "They're trying to understand us," he said, awe in his voice. "Every alien system is working, analyzing, learning. They expected fear, surrender, obedience. Instead, they are encountering creativity, ingenuity, and resilience." Mara nodded. "That's the message. We're not just strong, we're clever. We don't submit easily, and we refuse to be defined by fear." Voss returned to the shuttle after securing the transmitter. "Transmission complete," he said. "The array will continue to broadcast, but we're in the clear for now." The command station erupted in quiet celebration. Not loud cheers, not triumphant shouts. This was a victory of intellect, of courage, of spirit. Humanity had spoken across the stars without firing a single shot, without striking fear with weapons. The signal itself was a declaration. Earth would not surrender. Yet Mara knew the mission was far from over. The alien fleet was still there, massive and unyielding. They had received the message, but their response remained uncertain. Humanity had shown defiance, but could the aliens truly understand it? Would they recognize courage and creativity as forces worth respecting? Dr. Soren placed a hand on Mara's shoulder. "Whatever happens next, remember this. We've shown them a part of us they never expected. That alone is a victory, not of battle, but of identity." Mara gazed at the stars beyond the observation deck. The alien fleet's lights flickered in the distance, almost like eyes watching, analyzing and learning. Humanity had made its move, and now the universe held its breath. The silence was no longer empty. It was full of potential, of possibilities, of understanding waiting to emerge. Humanity had spoken, and for the first time the stars seemed to listen, and in that silence Mara felt a spark of hope. A spark that whispered of a future where courage, creativity, and determination were stronger than fear. A spark that promised that no matter the odds, humans could rise and make their voices heard. The mission had succeeded, but this was only the beginning. Humanity had sent its message. The alien fleet had received it. And now the next chapter of the story would unfold, revealing whether curiosity could triumph over threat, and whether the essence of humanity could inspire recognition in even the most alien of minds. Above all, Mara Kellen knew one truth: humans did not surrender. Not to fear, not to numbers, not to the unknown. Humanity spoke with intellect, Wang. Days passed in tense silence. The orbital command station above Earth became a hub of anxious anticipation. Humanity had sent its boldest message, the thought signal broadcasting human creativity, courage, and ingenuity across the void to the alien fleet. Yet the silence that followed was heavy and uncertain. Lieutenant Mara Kellen stood by the observation deck, her eyes scanning the distant lights of the alien fleet. They had not moved closer, nor had they retreated. It was as if the entire armada were holding its collective breath, studying, analyzing, and trying to understand what they had just received. Mara's fingers tapped the console absent-mindedly. This was more than a message, it was a challenge. A challenge to be recognized not as a threat, but as equals in intelligence and spirit. "Lieutenant," Commander Rivas called from the control hub. His voice carried the tension of leadership and the weight of responsibility. "I've been monitoring the fleet's formations. Look at this." Mara approached and saw subtle shifts in the alien ships. Tiny adjustments, barely perceptible yet deliberate. They were observing patterns, responding to signals and changing formations as if in thought. No weapon systems had been activated. No aggressive maneuvers. Just observation. Dr. Ilan Soren joined them. his expression a mixture of excitement and careful calculation. "They're analyzing us," he said. "Every wave of our thought signal, every human pattern of logic and emotion, they're processing it. We're unpredictable to them." They didn't expect that. Mara took a deep breath. "So far, we haven't triggered hostility. That's a start. But we need to understand their response before we make any further moves." Over the following days, the command station became a center for observation and experimentation. Teams of scientists, linguists, and mathematicians studied every detail of the alien fleet's reactions. Subtle lights flickered in sequences that suggested comprehension. Energy patterns shifted in response to human transmissions. The alien armada was learning, adapting, and reacting, and humanity was observing it in real time. In the shuttle bay, Lieutenant Jaron Voss prepared for another mission. This time, it was not just about delivering signals. It was about monitoring the fleet up close to understand how the aliens were interpreting humanity's messages. The shuttle glided silently through space, weaving around distant satellites and debris fields, approaching the edge of the fleet with caution. As Voss neared the outer boundary, he activated the shuttle's observation sensors. Streams of data poured in, revealing subtle reactions in the alien systems. Small drones or probes moved between ships, almost as if they were relaying information to a central intelligence. Every movement was deliberate, careful, almost hesitant. Humanity's thought signal had reached them, and for the first time they were responding, but not with aggression. Back at the command station, Mara and Dr. Soren studied the incoming data. "It's remarkable," Soren said. "They expected fear, submission, or chaos. Instead, they encountered creativity, resilience, and determination. Our unpredictability has caught their attention." Mara nodded. "That's exactly what we hoped for. But attention is not understanding. We need them to truly comprehend who we are." The crew decided to amplify the thought signal. Using the orbital array, they prepared a second transmission, bolder, more complex, and layered with even more examples of human ingenuity. It would include holographic demonstrations of Earth's technological achievements, artistic creations, scientific principles, and even cultural stories showing courage and compassion. Every layer was designed to challenge the aliens' assumptions about humanity. As the transmission began, the lights on the alien fleet flickered in response. This time the reaction was unmistakable. Ships moved in coordinated patterns, almost as if they were communicating with one another. Data streams indicated they were attempting to analyze multiple layers of information simultaneously. The aliens had never encountered a civilization that combined creativity, problem-solving, and emotion in such a complex manner. Mara watched the screens, fascinated and relieved. "They're trying to understand us," she said. "They're not just reading our signals, they're experiencing them." Dr. Soren smiled. "Exactly. They are intelligent, yes, but human intelligence is different. We combine logic with imagination. We solve problems in ways that cannot always be predicted. That's what makes us human." Meanwhile, Voss maneuvered his shuttle closer to the fleet, observing their drones and smaller ships. He noticed that some of the alien crafts were slowing down near certain transmission points, almost as if they were absorbing the signals, learning from them. It was a delicate balance, too close and the shuttle could be detected. Too far and the nuances of the aliens' reactions might be missed. "Lieutenant Voss, report," Mara called over the communicator. "They're cautious," Voss replied. "Every ship is monitoring every other ship, and the drones are transmitting the data back to the main fleet. They're analyzing our broadcast, not attacking. It's slow, methodical, almost like curiosity." Mara allowed herself a small smile. Curiosity is a beginning. That's what we needed. Over the next few cycles of the transmission, subtle changes became evident. The alien fleet adjusted their formations in ways that suggested recognition of patterns they had not anticipated. Energy output shifted, but not in a threatening manner. They were observing, learning, and perhaps even respecting the intelligence that they had encountered for the first time. At the command station, scientists noted that the aliens seemed to respond differently to distinct types of human information. Stories of courage and problem-solving triggered unique energy sequences. Complex mathematical constructs elicited precise formation adjustments. Even artistic representations, music, visual patterns, and abstract concepts produced measurable responses. Humanity's creativity was not just being noticed. It was being registered, analyzed, and respected. Mara felt a sense of awe. They expected us to be predictable, she said quietly. But humans are never predictable. That's our strength, Dr. Soren nodded. Exactly. And if we continue to demonstrate who we truly are, they may begin to see us as more than a species to conquer or ignore. They may see us as equals, or at least worthy of understanding. Voss returned to the command station after a monitoring cycle. They're adjusting to the signals, he reported. I think they're starting to realize that humans are different. Not in a threatening way, but in a way they cannot ignore. Commander Rivas leaned back in his chair, considering the data. We've bought time, he said. Time to continue broadcasting, time to show them more. But we must remain vigilant. Curiosity can turn into caution, and caution into aggression if we make mistakes. Mara agreed. That's why the next phase is critical. We need to expand the signal, make it clear that humans are capable of creativity, ingenuity, and cooperation. We are not defined by fear. We are defined by courage and intellect. The crew worked tirelessly to enhance the thought signal, layering it with richer content and more complex demonstrations of human culture and achievement. Holographic sequences displayed Earth's cities, oceans, mountains, and forests, along with human inventions, scientific breakthroughs, and artistic masterpieces. Stories of bravery, teamwork, and compassion were woven into the signal, creating a multi-dimensional transmission that pulsed with humanity's essence. When the enhanced broadcast reached the alien fleet, the changes were immediately noticeable. The ship's lights shifted in intricate patterns reflecting recognition and adaptation. Energy readings suggested that the aliens were processing the transmissions not just logically, but perhaps emotionally as well. Humanity's uniqueness was impossible to ignore. Mara felt a spark of hope ignite within her. This is what we wanted, she said. We're not just surviving. We're showing them the best of who we are, and that cannot be dismissed, Dr. Soren smiled. It's remarkable, really. Humans have faced countless challenges throughout history. We've adapted, invented, and persevered. And now, even across the stars, that spirit is reaching others. Voss added. And it's working. Look at the patterns in their formations. They're thinking. Not attacking, just thinking. The command station continued to monitor the alien fleet, capturing every shift, every subtle adjustment. Humanity's thought signal was not just a message, it was a conversation, a test, and a declaration all at once. And for the first time it seemed the aliens were listening, not as conquerors but as learners. Mara gazed at the distant armada, a sense of pride swelling within her. Humanity had done something extraordinary. They had faced an overwhelming threat without weapons, without aggression, and without fear-driven surrender. They had spoken with creativity, courage, and ingenuity, and the universe was responding. Lieutenant Kellen, Commander Rivas said softly, we may not know what comes next. But for now, humanity has been heard. That's a victory in itself. Mara nodded, feeling the weight of that truth. Yes, she said. And it's only the beginning. If we continue to show who we are, to demonstrate our creativity and spirit, there's no limit to what we can achieve even across the stars. The alien fleet remained in the void, massive, imposing, yet no longer threatening in the same way. Humanity's voice had reached them and it had made a difference. Curiosity had replaced fear, analysis had replaced aggression, and understanding, however tentative, had begun to take root. The solar system had grown quiet, but the orbital command station above Earth buzzed with an energy that no machine could measure. Humanity's thought signal had reached the alien fleet. Their reactions had been careful, cautious, and curious. Yet the team knew that curiosity alone was not enough. They needed the aliens to truly understand what it meant to be human. Lieutenant Mara Kellen walked through the station, observing her crew. Engineers adjusted amplifiers, scientists monitored data streams, and communications officers prepared the final stage of the broadcast. This was the moment that could define humanity, not through strength, not through numbers, but through spirit. Lieutenant, Commander Rivas called, the second layer of transmissions has been tested. It's stable and ready. We can now send the full-scale broadcast, Mara nodded. She felt a mixture of pride, responsibility, and excitement. Let's do it. Humanity is not just surviving. We are showing who we truly are. In the lab, Dr. Elin Soren oversaw the integration of thousands of human experiences into the signal. Holographic sequences of Earth's cities, oceans, mountains, and forests were woven together with depictions of scientific achievements, technological breakthroughs, and cultural artistry. Music, literature, and even simple acts of courage were encoded into the waves of the thought signal. The aliens had seen patterns before, but this was something entirely different. "It's beautiful," Soren whispered to Mara, eyes reflecting the shimmering displays. "All of humanity in one signal. We're showing them that we are more than survival instincts. We are curiosity, creativity, and courage combined." Mara placed a hand on the console. "That's the message they need to see. Not a fight, not a surrender, but who we are at our best." Lieutenant Jaron Voss readied his shuttle once again. This time, he would ensure that the signal reached the outer edges of the fleet, amplifying it so that no alien system could avoid the broadcast. The shuttle's path was carefully plotted to avoid detection, yet remained close enough for maximum effect. "Lieutenant Voss," Mara said, "this is the moment humanity shows its true voice. Remember, it's not just a signal. It's the essence of Earth itself." Voss nodded, a determined smile on his face. "Then let them see us. Every thought, every creation, every story. They will understand, even if it takes time." The shuttle departed, gliding gracefully through space toward the outer orbital array. Mara watched it disappear into the blackness, carrying humanity's message of hope, courage, and creativity. Back at the command station, the team activated the final broadcast. Light and energy patterns filled the arrays, projecting waves of human ingenuity into the void. Every system, every calculation, and every story of courage and creativity traveled across millions of kilometers of space, reaching the alien fleet. The response was immediate. Lights on the alien vessels shifted in intricate patterns, their energy outputs fluctuating as though they were trying to comprehend the complex layers of the transmission. For the first time, the aliens were not just analyzing human behavior, they were experiencing it. Dr. Soren leaned over the observation console, awe in his voice. "They're not attacking. They're observing. And their formations, they're reacting to the patterns we sent. It's as if they're learning." Mara watched the alien fleet with wide eyes. The ships were massive, silent, and imposing, yet something had changed. There was a sense of attentiveness, almost respect. The alien fleet was adapting to humanity's signals, their system struggling to interpret creativity, courage, and intellect intertwined in ways they had never encountered. "Curiosity is turning into recognition," Mara whispered. She felt a surge of hope. Humanity's message was working. The aliens were beginning to see humans not as a problem to conquer, but as beings of intellect and spirit. The command station crew continued to monitor the response, capturing every change in real time. The aliens' energy signatures suggested that they were analyzing the complexity of human thought, from engineering principles to abstract art, from tales of bravery to acts of kindness. Every transmission layer had a measurable effect, and every effect was different, unpredictable, and uniquely human. Lieutenant Voss returned after completing the shuttle's route. "They're responding differently than before," he reported. "No hostility, no signs of aggression, just comprehension. They are trying to understand us." Commander Rivas allowed himself a small smile. "That's all we needed." Understanding, even tentative, is the first step to recognition. We've achieved what weapons never could. Mara turned to the observation deck, looking down at the blue and green sphere of Earth below. The sight was grounding. Humanity had faced countless challenges in its history, and each time they had risen with ingenuity and courage. Now, across the vastness of space, humans were doing the same. Dr. Soren's voice broke through her thoughts. "It's remarkable, Lieutenant. Our species is being measured not for strength, but for creativity, courage, and intellect. That is our true power." Mara nodded. "Yes, and it's being seen even by beings who are nothing like us. That's the essence of humanity." Over the following hours, the alien fleet's reactions became more distinct. Ships adjusted their positions in ways that suggested cooperation rather than conflict. Data streams indicated that they were comparing patterns, trying to find meaning in the human broadcasts. Each layer of the thought signal triggered responses that were increasingly complex and precise. Humanity's ingenuity was being recognized as a force in its own right. The command station staff observed the patterns closely. "They're learning faster than we expected," said one of the communications officers. "It's like they're evolving in response to us." Voss added, and all we did was show them who we are. No threats, no weapons, just humanity in full display. Mara felt a swell of pride. This is what HFY is about, she said. Humans have always risen through ingenuity, courage, and spirit. Now we're showing that to the universe. The thought signal continued to radiate outward, carrying every story, every invention, every artwork, every act of bravery that humans had ever known. The alien fleet absorbed it all, unable to ignore the complexity, beauty, and resilience contained within. Lieutenant Kellen, Commander Rivas said, "We may not yet know how they will respond in the long term. But for now, we have achieved something extraordinary. They are listening, analyzing, and adapting. Humanity has been heard, and that is a victory unlike any other." Mara looked at the distant lights of the alien ships, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The fleet was still vast and powerful, but something had shifted. The aliens were no longer just observers. They were witnesses to human potential. Dr. Soren turned to Mara. "We've demonstrated that survival is not the only measure of strength. Intelligence, creativity, and courage are forces that can change minds and inspire recognition. That is humanity's greatest weapon, and we've shown it." Mara allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. Humanity had faced impossible odds before and had always found a way to overcome them. But this was different. This time it was not just about survival. It was about being understood, being recognized, and showing that courage and creativity were universal languages, even across the stars. The alien fleet remained in formation, vast and imposing yet transformed in subtle ways. Their lights flickered in response to every new wave of the thought signal, a testament to the impact of humanity's broadcast. Mara felt a spark of hope. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "If we continue to show who we are, if we continue to broadcast our spirit, creativity, and courage, there's no limit to what humanity can achieve, even across the stars." Voss added, "And the best part? We didn't need a single battle. We've shown that intellect, spirit, and creativity are forces even the largest armadas cannot ignore." The command station hummed with quiet activity. Every member of the crew understood the significance of what they were witnessing. This was not just a technological success. It was a triumph of human spirit. Humanity's message had reached beings who had never seen the value of creativity and courage as power, and they were responding. Mara gazed out at the distant alien fleet, a deep sense of pride and determination filling her. Humanity had sent its voice across the stars. It had been received, processed, and in some way understood. The universe was beginning to recognize the uniqueness of humans, not through aggression, not through fear, but through the brilliance of mind, heart, and spirit. The stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, carrying the echoes of humanity's broadcast, and somewhere, far across the void, the alien fleet continued to study, analyze, and adapt, forever changed by the human signal that had reached them. Mara smiled. Humanity's true voice had been heard, and this time the universe had begun to listen. The alien fleet hung in the blackness beyond the solar system, immense and silent yet subtly transformed. Humanity's thought signal had reached every ship, every system, every consciousness within the armada. What had begun as observation had evolved into understanding. The aliens were no longer simply studying humans. They were responding to them. Lieutenant Mara Kellen stood on the observation deck of the orbital command station, staring at the distant lights of the fleet. Days had passed since the full broadcast and patterns were emerging. The ships shifted in formation, slow and deliberate, almost as if they were communicating with one another. Humanity had achieved something unprecedented. The alien fleet was listening, not attacking. Commander Rivas joined her, his expression a mixture of pride and contemplation. "They're adapting," he said quietly. "They've processed our signals, analyzed our patterns, and appear to recognize the value of what we've sent. We may have changed the way they see us," Mara nodded. "Not through force, not through fear. We've shown them who we truly are. That's more than victory, it's a declaration. Humanity exists and we will not be underestimated." Dr. Elin Soren entered the observation deck, carrying data tablets filled with streams of alien responses. "It's extraordinary," he said. "Every fleet system shows subtle adjustments, as if they are reorganizing to interpret our transmissions. They are processing courage, creativity, and intellect as signals of significance. They've never encountered a species like ours. Mara turned to him. Do you think they understand what we're trying to say? Soren smiled faintly. Not fully yet, but they are beginning to, and that is enough. Recognition is always the first step to respect. From the edge of the fleet, Voss piloted a shuttle carrying monitoring equipment to observe the final reactions firsthand. The orbital array's signals reached deep into the Armada, creating waves of human expression that spread across the alien systems. Holographic images of Earth's natural beauty, human inventions, acts of bravery, and collaborative problem-solving flowed through space, illuminating the alien sensors in ways they had never experienced. Lieutenant Voss, Mara spoke through the communicator. What do you see? Voss's voice was steady but filled with awe. They're changing. The smaller ships are repositioning to observe the signals more closely. Energy outputs are steady, not hostile. Even the drones are moving in patterns that suggest communication rather than surveillance. They're trying to interpret everything we've sent. Commander Rivas allowed himself a rare smile. They're learning, not just from what we've sent, but from who we are. That is humanity's greatest strength, our ability to communicate, to innovate, to adapt. And now, even across the stars, that is being recognized. The command station team continued to broadcast and monitor the alien fleet. Each wave of the thought signal brought new reactions. Complex ideas, intricate patterns of human thought, and even representations of art and music caused shifts in formation, energy fluctuations, and data responses across the Armada. The aliens were engaged not with fear, but with curiosity and analysis. Mara turned to Dr. Soren. We've reached a point where the Armada isn't just observing, they're processing us. Every signal we send reinforces who we are. This is proof that our spirit is more powerful than numbers or weaponry. Soren nodded. And the best part is they're learning without conflict. They are seeing that intelligence, creativity, and courage are forms of power. As the hours passed, subtle changes in the fleet became more apparent. Ships formed patterns that resembled coordination rather than preparation for attack. Energy flows stabilized. Data streams suggested internal communication between vessels as they analyzed the human broadcasts collectively. Humanity's essence was spreading across the fleet, reaching consciousnesses that had never experienced unpredictability, compassion, or ingenuity in this form. Voss reported back. Even the largest vessels are responding. They're not retreating, but they're not advancing either. They're observing, learning, and adapting. This is unprecedented. Mara allowed herself a small smile. Unprecedented is humanity's specialty. She glanced down at Earth, spinning quietly in the void. This is for them, for every person who has ever built, explored, or dreamed. We've sent our best selves across the stars, and it has been received. Commander Rivas spoke again, voice steady and calm. We must remain vigilant. They are intelligent and capable of swift action, but for now, we have demonstrated that humanity's voice is powerful in ways they cannot ignore. Hours turned into days, yet the alien fleet held its position. Slowly, their formation began to change, not in aggression but in deliberate movement away from the inner solar system. Every adjustment suggested analysis and reflection. Humanity's message had not only reached them, but it had altered their approach. Dr. Soren observed the patterns and shook his head in wonder. They're retreating, but not in fear. This is respect, or at least acknowledgement. They have learned that humanity is not easily categorized, not easily subdued. That is an achievement no weapon could accomplish. Mara's gaze remained on the distant lights of the fleet. We didn't surrender. We showed them who we are, and it changed the way they see us. That is a victory unlike any other. A victory of spirit and intellect. Voss returned from the shuttle, piloting it back to the command station. It's remarkable, he said. We've seen it firsthand. The fleet is moving outward, adapting, and maintaining a level of caution. It's as if they are reconsidering their entire approach to us. Our broadcast has reached them in ways we could never predict. Commander Rivas allowed himself a rare moment of pride. Humanity has done what generations of warriors and strategists could not. We've communicated our worth across the stars. We've shown that courage, ingenuity, and creativity are forces that cannot be ignored. Mara nodded, feeling the weight of history in that moment. We've done more than survive. We've been recognized. That recognition is the first step toward collaboration, understanding, or at the very least coexistence. Humanity has claimed its voice, and no one can take that away. The command station continued to broadcast. sending final sequences of the thought signal to ensure the alien fleet fully received humanity's message. Holographic images of Earth's people, cultures, achievements, and landscapes flowed across space, interwoven with stories of kindness, bravery, and innovation. Every wave reinforced the truth of humanity's uniqueness. As the alien fleet gradually retreated from the inner solar system, Mara felt a surge of triumph. Humanity had not surrendered. Humanity had not attacked. Instead, humans had communicated their spirit, their ingenuity, and their courage, and the universe had responded. Dr. Soren placed a hand on her shoulder. Lieutenant Kellen, today we have shown that the greatest strength of a species is its mind and heart. Intelligence combined with creativity, courage, and collaboration can change even the vastness of space. Mara looked out at the distant stars, illuminated by the fading lights of the alien armada. Yes, and humanity will continue to rise, continue to explore, and continue to show the universe who we are. We've proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, our voice matters. Our actions, our creativity, and our courage define us. Commander Riva spoke again, his tone solemn but proud. Let this be remembered, not as a battle won with weapons, but as a victory achieved with intellect and spirit. Humanity has spoken across the stars, and it has been heard. The crew of the orbital command station allowed themselves a rare moment of celebration, tempered with reflection. They had achieved something extraordinary. Humanity had communicated its essence to an entire alien armada, altering their perception without a single conflict. This was a triumph of ingenuity, courage, and resilience, a true testament to the human spirit. Outside, the alien fleet continued its retreat, adjusting its formation as it moved away. Data streams suggested they had learned from the broadcasts, perhaps even re-evaluating their assumptions about intelligent life. Humanity's voice had reached across millions of kilometers of space, and the impact would echo far beyond the solar system. Mara took a deep breath, feeling a mix of relief and pride. Humanity had faced an overwhelming threat, and had responded with courage, creativity, and intelligence. The species had not surrendered, had not hidden, and had not relied on fear. Instead, humans had done what they did best. They had shown the universe their spirit. Voss joined her on the observation deck. You know, he said, we didn't fire a single shot, but we've changed the way a fleet of aliens thinks about humans. That's something no battle could accomplish, Mara smiled. Exactly. That's the HFY spirit. Humanity has always risen through ingenuity, courage, and determination. Today, we've proven that even the stars can recognize it. Dr. Soren, watching the retreating fleet, added, this is a turning point, not just for Earth, but for all of humanity. We've established a precedent. Intelligence, creativity, and courage are forces that cannot be ignored, even by civilizations far more powerful than ours. Mara nodded, feeling the weight of history in that moment. And the future is ours to shape. We've shown the universe that humans are resilient, brilliant, and courageous. That is a legacy no one can erase. As the alien fleet disappeared into the depths of space, humanity's thought signal Compi, the stars themselves seemed to see,